All right, you're going to write these fractions or decimals in simplest form. I mean, the decimals won't need to be in simplest form, but anyway, here we go. This first one is just going to be negative 2 over 1 times 10 over 7. That's going to be negative 20 over 7. And that's good enough for simplest form. You don't need to convert it. If you did, it would be negative 2. And let's see, I think that would be negative 2 and, oh my gosh, 6/7. This one is going to be negative 1/2 times negative 6 over 1. That's going to be positive 6 over 2, which is 3. Speaking of 3, 5 times 5 is 25. It's going to be negative. And then, as we know, the decimal needs to move one time, so it's negative 2.5. Number 4. Don't try and multiply it all like this. Convert it to an improper fraction first. 6 times negative 1 is 6. 1 times 1, well, I'm sorry, not 1 times 1. Add this 1 right here, and you're going to get 7/6 times 5 over 1. That's going to be 35/6, and it's negative, and that is good enough for the final answer. But if you did convert it to a mixed number, it would be negative 5 and 5/6. 0.1 times 0.1. So if you're watching this, at some point I accidentally muted myself, so now I'm going back and recording audio only. So 1 times 1 is 1, that's why we have a 1 there, and then it's negative, and we notice that we need to move the decimal 2 places. Well, there's where the decimal would be. We move it twice, and we get negative 0.01. That's it. Next. This is just 3 numbers multiplying each other. So we're going to do 10 times negative 2.5. We'll take whatever that is, and we'll multiply it by negative 4. So what's nice about multiplying by 10 is it just moves the decimal place. So instead of negative 2.5, it's 25. And 25 times 4 is 100. This is a nice and easy one, multiplying straight across. That's how you multiply fractions. So we get negative 20 over 35. And this is our first one that we can actually reduce. The other ones we couldn't reduce any. So we need to divide both terms, both numbers, by 5, and we get negative 4/7. Just like the other one, we need to multiply straight across. Negative 3 times negative 10 is 30. 4 times 9 is 36. We can divide both of these by 3. We get 10/12. And guess what? We can divide that by 2 now. We get 5/6. If you had seen that you could have divided that by 6, you could have divided by 6 right away, but, we didn't have to. With this one, I would not recommend you try and multiply, a mixed number times a fraction. Let's go ahead and convert this mixed number to an improper fraction. So we'll do 9 times 2 to get 18. Add that 2 on top, and we get 20/9. And then you just multiply straight across. You get 60/18. And it's negative because we had the negative, right? Don't forget that. Negative times a positive is going to be negative. And then we could divide both of these by 6. Earlier, I did one where I divided by 2 and then 3, or 3 then 2. That would be the same as dividing by 6. So check it out. That is our answer. If you wanted to write it as a mixed number, there's the other way you could write it. Number 10. This is going to be squared. So I'm going to have to multiply that mixed number by itself. And so I'm going to go ahead and convert it right away. So I take 8 times 1 and then add that 3. So it's 11/8, right? Multiply straight across to get 121/64. And you might think, well, hang on, forgot about our negatives. So they're both going to be negative because the negative's on the inside of the parentheses when we square it. And so it's going to be positive. And then you would think surely 121 and 64 can be reduced. No. Now we're just multiplying. I mean, there's really nothing special about this. 1 times 37, there you go. You cross off the 1, or you can if you want to. You write that 0 because you're no longer multiplying by 1s. You're multiplying by 10s. That 2 is technically in the tens place. And so you get 2 times 37 is 74. Add that all up, you get 777. We move the decimal place twice, so that's our answer right there. So if you're watching this one at home or whatever, you might want to just like fast forward here, because this is just, you're just going to watch me multiply a 3-digit number by a 2-digit number. And it's just multiplication. 7 times 6, 42. 7 times 2, 14. There you go. Done with a 7. Write a 0 because I'm about to multiply by the tens. 5 times 6 is 30. Carry the 3. 5 times 0 is 0 with the 3. 5 times 2 is 10. You add it all up. You get 11, 7, 42. Move the decimal 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And the answer is 11.742. Okay, so now, honestly, I would think if you were going to have any real troubles, it was going to be from here down. Not because these are truly difficult or anything, but there's just definitely more difficulty to them. So there are 15 people in a room. Each person ate 2/3 of a pizza. There was no pizza remaining. How many pizzas were there to begin with? Well, if 15 people ate 2/3 each, then I'm just going to multiply and get 30 thirds, which is 10 pizzas. That's how many there were. During a drought, a river's height decreases by 0.35 inches every day. So if you want to write that as negative, go for it. And what we're going to do is multiply it by 7 days. And so all we're going to do is 35 times 7, that's 35. 7 times 3 is 21, 24.5. There was a decimal here, so we're going to hop it twice and hop it twice. So it decreases 2.45 inches after 7 days. Fill in the blank to make the solution correct. Well, this is 5.6 times, we don't know, equals this. You can do division here, and that's pretty much what I'm going to do. So how do you do that? I'm going to do 19.04 divided by 5.6. Okay, and if you are someone who likes the box method, okay, well, we can kind of do this with a box, right? So we have 1904 box, 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 right? And then the decimal is going to be here. The decimal is going to be here, right? So if you're doing it like this way, if you're doing long division, you do 56 and you do 190.4. So really that decimal moves up, right, to right there. If you're doing it like this, then I don't think it moves at all. So I would still think you would want to do that, because the question then becomes, how many 5.6s go into 19? And that's a little annoying. So instead, let's ask how many 56s go into 190.4. So let's erase this one. Let's get rid of that decimal right there. Okay, so 56 into 190, I'm going to guess that goes in 3 times. And if you're over here, 56 goes into 1 0 times. And then 56 goes in 19 0 times. But 56 can go into 190. Oh, look, 190. So we think 3. 3 times 6 is 18. And that's 15 plus 1 is 16. So let's see. If we write a 3 here, that's 168. When we subtract, we get 22 here. So we're going to get 22 here. And then what I'm going to do over here on the right is this 4. I'm going to move it over. So I'm going to move it over so it's in red. So we have like our still original 4. If you're like, what do you mean? There's our original 4. There's our original 4. But what's going to happen is 22 jumps up here. And we get 22 like that. Okay? And for here, this 4 drops down. And I believe it's just 4 now. 4 times 56. That's 24. Carry the 2. Yep, 224, 0. So 224, 0. So our answer is 3.4. And if you're like, well, I forgot even what we were doing. 5.6 times 3.4 is 1904. But we need to make sure and make it negative. There's our answer. Next, PEMDAS. If you haven't been thinking of PEMDAS up here, that's understandable. But we never quit thinking about PEMDAS. What's PEMDAS? parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract, or if you want to, it could be pedantsa, because remember, these two and these two, you just want to make sure and do them left to right. Okay, so here we go. We zoom in here and we have exponents, but this negative doesn't really get used, so this is just -9 plus. Now let's do this. Let's do this over here. We know that 4.6 times 1 is 4.6, but we're going to move the decimal 1 time, 2 times, okay? So, actually, hang on. We are going to do that, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to write just regular 4.6. I'm going to write just regular 46, because if we had 46 times 1, it would be 46, right? And that's kind of what we have here, yes? So now is where we move the decimal 2 places. So 1, 2, right there, okay? And then don't forget the negative. So it's -9 plus -0.46. If you're having trouble seeing that, -0.46. This is now -9.46. 17, we are doing PEMDAS. We have multiply times multiply. I'm sorry, not multiply times. We have these two being multiplied minus these two being multiplied. And if you're a little confused, remember, the size of these dots are not little decimal sized, and they're also not located down here like decimals are, okay? So don't pretend like you don't see the difference. So 1.1 times 3, well, that's 33, and then we're going to move the decimal place once. So negative times a negative is positive 3.3, yeah? And then 5 times 7, well, 5 times 7 will be 35. We move the decimal once, we move the decimal once. So -5 times positive, this is -3.5. Our final answer when we do 3.3 minus 3.5 is -0.2. 18's a little annoying because we're going to have to multiply these. So either grab yourself a calculator or, do the work. Whichever you're going to do, go for it. 9 times 1 is 9, 9 times 3 is 27, 9 times 4 is 36, plus 2 is 38. We're done with the 9. We're going to have a placeholder when we're multiplying by 10, but our 10 is 0, so I'm not even going to do that. I'm going to do another placeholder, because now I'm multiplying by 300, so to speak. So 300 times 1 is 300, right? 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 4 is 12. All right, add all this up, 9, 7, 13, there we go. And now we move the decimal 1, 2, 3, 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4 times. All right, 13.3179 negative, because of that negative, minus 0.098. Okay, so let me clean that up a little bit. My 9 doesn't look very 9-y right there. Notice how I have written them. I've lined them up on the decimals. Do not forget that. That is old school math that you remember. And here's what's going to make you a little crazy. I'm going to just add. Is it because it's a negative and a negative that I'm adding? No, it's that I am feeling -13, or I have lost $13. And then they come up and they're like, hey, you also need to subtract 0.098. And I'm like, so I will be more negative. So how would that work? We'll just add 9, 5, carry the 1, that's 1, carry the 1, that's 4. Here's the decimal, 3, 1, negative. This is our fantastic answer right here. Number 9, parentheses. I've got them, but I can't do what's inside of them. Exponents. Right here, that's -3/2 times -3/2. And why is it a negative times a negative? Because the negative is inside of the parentheses with the exponents on the outside. Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. 2 times 2 is 4. So now there is a negative outside, so negative 9 over 4. Okay, let's keep going. Negative 3 times this, if you've forgotten, I don't want to ever really multiply a mixed number by a fraction or even a whole number. I want to make sure and multiply an improper fraction. So 12 times 1, let's change colors. 12 times 1 is 12, plus 7 is 19 twelfths. Don't forget the negative, and then 3 over 1, don't forget that negative. All right, so let me zoom out real quick. You multiply straight across. Now, by the way, they did use like the little X there. It's okay if we use a dot, same thing. And then notice I'm using double parentheses. Again, don't worry. Negative 3 times 19, I believe that's 57. And 57 twelfths minus 9 fourths. Okay, so what are we going to do with that? Well, we need a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply this by 3 over 3. We get 57 twelfths minus 27 twelfths. That is 30 twelfths, I believe. And now we can reduce that by dividing by 2, divide by 2. Actually, you know what? I know that we can divide that by 6. So let's just do that. And if you're like, but I don't see that, then divide by 2, okay? In fact, I'll do it. If I divide by 2, I get 15 sixths. But if I divide by 6, I get 5 halves. And if I divide this, well, actually, then I have to divide this by 3, divide by 3, and I would get 5 halves. So 5 halves is your answer for number 19.